Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Major Series. Many series in the world can challenge drivers, but nothing challenges more than the Major Series. 12 races, each with different cars and different circuits to try out every facet of motorsport. And round one for 2026 kicks off at Winton Motor Raceway out in Victoria, in the land down under Australia. My name is Stephen Koenig. Joining me in the commentary box and on the cameras is Mike Taylor. Mike, welcome to 2026's season. We're in for a real treat here at Winton.
Oh, absolutely. And with how last year went for the major series, we are absolutely in for an amazing treat this year, including the first race here. I've never been here or drove on this track whatsoever. So this is a whole new adventure for me here at this beautiful circuit.
Well, to give you a bit of a heads up of what the circuit is, because it is perfect for our combo here today. Running TCRs around Winton Motor Raceway. We're going to be having a bit of fun around this 2.9 kilometer circuit. It's a little bit on the warmer side of 21 degrees, and it's been opened in 1961, 64 years ago, and has challenged some of the best drivers and home to the Aussie V8. Now, we got 3 heats to play with here. Race 1, we're going to be going and fighting it out after the pre-queue. Race 2 is set in finishing order of Race 1. Race 3, our third heat, is going to be our top 9 actually inverted to go and fight it out. 18 laps each means that there is no time to come off the throttle. You're going to have to fight it out tooth and nail to score every single point to walk away with the championship, as this is round 1 of the Major Series International, and we have got our 2025 champion of Ewan Baker, who has been setting out the top times in practice of a 125.3 and keeping well enough away from second place of Robert North, and unfortunately our third place of our 2025 championship, Justin Moulton, not here to have some fun. But taking a look at our 2025 team championship, it was Kiwi Sim Racing that took the victory with Ian Baker at the top of the board. Fusion Gold International took second place, and Dog Bear Kingsman will hope to fight it out. Now, with our TCRs, they front wheel drive. They are a lot of fun, but they momentum-based cars. That means you're going to have to be really careful of how much you want to hit the brakes and how much you really want to take that speed into the corner. Interesting enough, only 2 Audis joining us on the grid as well. Mike, TCRs, lots of fun, but do expect some door banging as well.
Oh yeah, with my experiences inside these race cars are very limited to Daytona, Sebring, and even at Le Mans. One thing these guys always do for us is they give us one heck of a show, no matter what, where we're at is where I'm trying to say. So I'm expecting a lot of good side-by-side racing, and with it being a front-wheel drive race car, as you said, are you going to go all in, or are you going to back out before that corner?
With this circuit, you're going to have to go all in. It is a rather flat, but that means that you're going to have everything on the line. The corners tight and twisty. You really have to line things up. Otherwise, you're going to be venturing into the dirt. And that does bring up another point that the drivers have to keep well enough in mind while they're battling it out for 18 laps. As there's a drive-through after 16 incident points and 8 after that. So you've got to be so careful as we jump on board with Heath Manning in the 911 car. All the way out from New Zealand, you can see into turn 1. It is a chuck to the left, a chuck to the right to get yourself going. But we're going to be moving on to our qualifying to see who's going to set the fastest lap time here at Winton out in Australia. And the pressure starts to mount. You've waited the entire year. You waited for this moment to really stand at the top. And I mean, this is going to be an interesting run. Now, we also got two different splits running. We're keeping an eye on split 1, but we do have a split 2, and only 22 cars are in split 1 looking to take the top of the board. Question is, can the defending champion carry the momentum into round 1, or are we about to see him dethroned by someone new? Mike, your take on that?
Oh man, that's a really tough call. I mean, because we have a lot of really great drivers here today, and it can be just a matter of, you know, thousandths of a second to determine who's in, who's out.
With 3 heats to make it up means that you've got 3 chances to really find it out. The question is, now car choices come into play. We have got the likes of the Audi RS3, we've got the Honda Civic, the Hyundai Elantra in, and the Hyundai Veloster in. Most of the drivers actually going for the Elantra instead of the Veloster due to its wider wheelbase naturally just gives it a little bit of an easier drive. The Veloster very nippy through the corners to go and fight it out. The Honda Civic as well, very, very stable choice for a lot of the drivers, as we do see Mark Newton prepped his tires and is going to be starting his first flying lap to see where he's all going to end up in this run. However, down into turn 1, you got to hit the brakes. You can see it dive to the nose, over the curbs, really attacking the corners and trying to battle his way through to keep it all in check. Mark is not holding back at the moment in the 685 car and hoping to stay on a top charge.
Yeah, Mark is absolutely just flying around this racetrack at this moment. He's always been one of the guys that I've watched for quite a while. So, seeing him holding this kind of speed is not surprising whatsoever.
Well, when you sit with an iRacing of 2.5k, you're no slouch in the world of tin top racing. However, he's got to try and put the lap all together and see where he can fight it out to ensure he gets going. This isn't the longest of circuits at 2.9 kilometers and is in very, very quick circuit out in Australia, as it's got 2 more corners to go down the short straight, really battling to go and carry the momentum, hard on the brakes, swings the car through the first right-hander, short straight on the brakes again, throw it through the final right-hander, bring it out wide, flat on the throttle, and across the line. So far, Adam Cale with a 125.8. Hayden Kirk in second place. Adam Johnson trying his best. Mark comes into second place with a 125.9 at the moment. Yep. Top speed around the circuit was set by Aiden, a 192 kilometers an hour at full tilt in practice, 189 at the moment. But Aiden leading out the top of the board, a 125.8 as it stands.
Yeah, Aiden put down a wicked lap time during pre-Q. When we talk about pre-Q, is these guys always have to qualify for these events. So when they come out and put down a fast time, that kind of somewhat decides on where they're going to sit. And let me tell you what, Aiden Cale in that number 501 machine just blew my mind with his lap time, and he's doing it again right here live for you guys.
This was their first flying lap, so expect the time to get a little bit quicker as the tires are starting to warm up and get going. Aiden currently leads out the pack. Can he get another quick lap time in? A 125.8 to beat, and will be booting it across the line to get a 125.5. with Mark Newton in second place. Ewan Baker, our defending champion, in third place, jumps up to second with a 125.7. But Aiden going and leading out that charge, not hanging around at the moment, starting to feel the pressure, wants to be on the front row and the advantage into turn 1. However, it's going to be a hard push to carry the momentum forward and stay at the top of the pack. Dylan Jordan up into third place. Mark Newton down into fourth. Heath Mannering in first place, along with Gavin Cox, Hayden Kirk, Ben Daltrey, Cameron Dance, Robert Northway, who came second in the 2025 championship, hoping to try and grasp a little bit more time underneath him, sitting with a 126.4.
Yeah, I'm taking a look.
Yeah,
I'm taking a look here, and we have one driver that hasn't attempted to qualify just yet. And, you know, remember only the top 22 advance. So these guys are really have to make sure that they at least get one good lap time in.
And Cal currently leads out that pack at the moment, and seeing where he can go into the drop zones, though. We have got the likes of Phil King, who's doing everything he can. He gets beaten down by Craig Tillison, who's looking to stay at the top of the pile. And Cam James down into 22nd position. Well, Phil King up into 21st. Craig Tillison down into 22nd. Couple of drivers needing to really put the hammer down to stay in for the fight. You don't want to drop a wheel off at the moment. You want to try stay full throttle, pushing harder and harder as you keep your way to the top. But Robert Henry going to be going and waiting for his opportunity to put in a fast lap time. Holds on to 6th place at the moment. Jake Fox currently out on circuit for the Dog Bear team, who actually came 3rd in the 2025 season. Dog Bear have been fighting it out across all 3 major series and hoping to really stand at the top and try and capture the team championship for this 2026 season.
Yeah, Jake Fox is pretty fast everywhere that he goes. I've been able to get lucky enough to, you know, rub elbows with him a couple times. And man, let me tell you what, compared to me, I'm a snail.
Definitely a driver that knows how to keep these wits, but also these drivers of the major series having to utilize every skill that they can. TCR cars a little bit different from our GT3s we usually play with. No traction control, no ABS. You're going to have to really try and keep it all together and try and focus on accelerating in a straight line. You don't want to be accelerating too much in the mid-corner, as naturally the front wheels grip up and cause you just to go and pivot straight. Got to be so careful not to go and throw yourself off the circuit. Michael Hogg for the Baby Metal team, going and continuing on. The Baby Metal is not a cult. I've got to say, I love this car. I love seeing Michael Hogg on circuit. Been driving across a variety of the different major series in 2025, from the European side, from the international side. And Baby Metal's not a cult, but if you want to go and join up with Electric Callboy, it's definitely a rat-a-tat-tat-tat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, Michael Hogg, you know, he's pretty wicked fast over on the ovals. You know, the few races I've done on the oval side of things here in the majors with Hogg, let me tell you what, he's another one that, you know, I was able to keep up with him, but trying to pass him, that's a whole different story.
See, this is where you got to use your papaya to go and get past him in that sort of place. Taking a look back at the times, no one's able to best Aiden Kale at the moment. Ewan Baker sitting with a 125.74, while Dylan Jordan sits with a 125.75. I mean, that is absolutely on the money from their best lap time. However, going and putting a wheel off means that his best lap time doesn't count. So he did a 125.74. Ewan Baker with a 125.735. But the moment you go and put a wheel off circuit, that is it. Game over. You're going to be trying yet again. But qualifying coming just about to a close, and most of the drivers going and biding their time. This is where the pressure starts to mount, and everyone starts to get the nerves kicking in.
Yep, so everybody has put down a lap time except Michael Wignall in that number 502 machine. So he's probably going to need to head over to that second split, as we are just now finishing up qualifying here.
That means we're going to be kicking it off with our first heat of the day here in Australia, Winton Motor Raceway. And drivers will be looking to jump off the line and get themselves towards the top. I'm interested though. The front row, Aiden Cale, going to be starting out in pole position with the defending champion, Ewan Baker, in second place. Dylan Jordan, Mark Newton, Hayden Kirk, Heath Mannering, Robert Henry, Matthew Pluck, along with Gavin Cox, Ben Daltrey, Thomas Hanas in 11th place. Cameron Dance, Robert Northway, Daniel Stevens, Stuart Elder, Gavin Barber in 16th, Brad Wiggins, along with Bantown, Craig Tilson, currently sitting in 19th, Paul McKenzie in 20th, 21st goes to Kevin Garcia, and Robbie Bradbury will be in that 22nd position on the start of this race. And the question is, who's going to have the better start? This is all about picking up the revs, keeping the clutch in, wait for the lights, drop the clutch, and go, go, go to fight it out at the top. And, well, as we know with standing starts, you're either going to get it right or you're going to get swallowed up by the field. So, Aiden Cale got the advantage into turn one. Ewan Baker hoping to get the jump off the line. And Mike, this is going to be a tense one. Lights at the ready, waiting to go. Lights on, lights on, lights on, and away we go racing for round one as they charge towards turn one. What a start from Baker. Aiden Cale now feeling the pressure, trying to keep it side by side with Mark Newton, and bumper to bumper out of two. It's Aiden Cale down the inside of Ewan Baker, who tries to go the long way around. Mark Newton hanging on in third place. Dylan Jordan waiting for his opportunity. Drop of the wheels, side by side they go. There is no room for error, but there is no room to go and lose out time as Ewan Baker jumps ahead of Aiden Cale, but only just under braking. As they march their way through, but Mike, this is off to a great start. Your take on it as we see the cars launch their way through, trying to keep them all in check. Line astern, no big issues except for Robert Northway, who's got the meatball flag off the start line. And unfortunately, we do have a spinner in the background trying to get himself going yet again. I think that's Michael Wingle, who didn't have the easiest of time there. But it is our flight at the front. And Mark Newton hanging on for dear life.
Man, right now I am trying to take in everything that I just witnessed this very first lap. And just absolute chaos all around. As we have Robert Northway, he has some issues in his machine. As, yeah, he's going to have a meatball flag here. He's going to have to come down and get repairs done on that machine.
Well, they got one fast repair to utilize during the course of this race, and it will be going on. But let's quickly take a replay of what went on, as he was having a bit of a difficult time just with the damage, and throws the car in the rear, says no thank you. Gets a beautiful semi-pirouette. I'd give that about 6 out of 10. But into the pits he goes, and the team going to be frantic to get that car back out on the circuit. And Cale down into second place after a great qualifying, has now got the defending champion ahead of him. Mark Newton in third place with Dylan Jordan, Robert Henry, Hayden Kirk, all over the back of one another. Cameron Dance as well, hoping to stay in for the fight. Ben Daltrey, there is no room for error, but 18 laps, and these drivers needing to really dial up the wick as tires are warming up. Drivers now starting to get into the rhythm of what they need to do to fight it out on circuit as they charge through the final corner and down the start finish line. Ewan Baker not backing down from the fight, trying to open a little bit of a gap to Aiden Cale, but loses it into turn one as Aiden throws the car in. A little less on the brakes, but straight over the rumble strips. So some awesome racing at the moment. And Kale still heading in for second place. Ewan Baker, 0.3 of a second. Mark Newton dropping off the back along with Dylan Jordan trying to stay in for the mix as we jump on board with Aiden Kale staring at the back of Ewan Baker, trying to see where exactly he can make up a bit of time. Oh, lots and lots of steering lock there, just trying to see where he can make up a bit of time. That late braking starting to catch him out each and every way as they try and open up the distance. Mark Newton hanging in the mix, biding his time. One thing about having these TCR cars is you don't want to go and push too hard at the start. You'll chew up the life in these tires and land up with a world of hurt. But they are starting to catch up to our back marker of Robert Northway, who went in for a fast trapeze back out on circuit, but he's about to get absolutely mucked by our leading pack. And Ewan Baker sees his opportunity to try and open up the gap. However, Aiden Kale has an opportunity to box him in. Mark Newton nearly a second behind, dealing with Dylan Jordan in fourth place. Robert Henry still in there, trying to hold on to that top 5 as it stands. But we've got to fight for first, second, third, and fourth at current. And Robert Henry in that 5th place is just biding his time, holding on to the coattails. He knows Hayden Kirk is right behind him. However, it takes one mistake from Dylan Jordan and Mark Newton to land up with him getting a podium position off heat 1. But take a look how late he's on the brakes here. A little bit more comfortable as suddenly Dylan Jordan all over the back of Mark, hoping to try and see where he can get by. The Kiwi Sim Racing team not backing down from the fight. Mark needing to really push out a little bit harder. Does switch to the outside. Dylan was hoping to go down the inside. Saw there was no room to do it. A little too far back. And will have to wait yet another lap as they follow line astern at the moment. But Mike, incredible racing off the bat from our TCRs, from our major series international drivers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The drive has just been absolutely phenomenal here at the start of this race. You know, I was expecting, you know, close quarter racing, but I was not expecting this close corner racings as we have Craig Tilson off track. Let's go back, take a look, see what happened to Craig in that number 22 machine.
Keeping all line astern, stuck and piggy in the middle, late on the brakes, chucks it in. Looking all together and decided to go down pit lane, going and getting himself sorted out. Not what you want to do. And Craig Tilson going to be falling down the pack for that one. I don't know what on earth happened to him and lose out so much time. But that being said, getting back to our racing action, Dylan Jordan all over the back of Mark Newton, Robert Henry in the mix there. Hayden Kirk as well in 6th place, not too far. And then there's a huge breakaway. Ben Daltrey, nearly 3 seconds back off that pack. He's got Cameron Dance and Matthew Pluck right behind him. But the Kiwi Sim Racing team now on the attack. Dylan Jordan after Mark as much as possible. And he's got Hayden on the back of him, just trying to give a little bit of support. Saying, where is he gonna... Sorry, it's Robert Henry that's on the back of him, trying to see where he can help out and possibly get that pass. One thing you want to do is open the door and keep your teammate close so there is no room for error as they will battle on. Hayden Kirk, however, is keeping his nose firmly into the back of the pack and hoping to just also make his way through as they jump the curbing. Seeing where they can go. Dylan sends it down the inside of Mark and gets the pass done and dusted. Mark trying to retaliate, gets right up the rear and can't see where he can get by just as yet as Dylan Jordan up into 3rd place. Absolutely incredible stuff. Now Robert Henry needs to do exactly the same. Mark trying to put as much pressure onto Dylan as possible, and Robert staying in the mix, hunting left and right, seeing where exactly can he try and get that pass done, and really trying to get that drive on Mark Newton. He looks to the outside, tries to look for the inside, backs down, and seeing where exactly is the opportunity around the circuit as well. On lap 6 of 18, seeing how far they can go. Hayden Kirk right on the back of him, as well as we do see a massive gaggle going and fighting out Ben Daltrey, Cameron Dons, Matthew Pluck, Gavin Cox, all fighting out behind this quad in front of him. But I've got to say, Mike, this is incredible stuff as they throw into turn 1. But with 7 out of 18 laps thus far, they're running out of time. Drivers trying to really battle it out, seeing where they go. Mark Newton currently holds on to 4th place, trying to see where exactly can he make up that little bit of time. Bleeds off a little bit, seeing where he can get the momentum underneath him. Yellow flag coming up for Gavin Barber, unfortunately doing a bit of weed whacking here in Australia. Winton Motor Raceway hoping to keep the power on. The drivers doing everything they can. Ewan Baker opening up the gap to Aiden Kale in 2nd place. Dylan Jordan holds on to 3rd place. Cameron Dance getting past Ben Daltrey, Matthew Pluck in 9th place, and Gavin Cox rounds out a top 10. But everyone seeing where they can just get that little bit more pace underneath them to stay ahead of the pack. The question is, who is going to stay at the top come the end of Heat 1 and carry the momentum into Heat 2 and 3, coming up a little bit later here at the Major Series. Perfect move by Robert Northway, who mines out of the way, allows the drivers to come through. Craig Tilson as well, just giving a little bit of room to come on by, and a big look down the inside was for Hayden Kirk and Robert Henry as they try to carry the momentum through. Dylan Jordan opens up the gap. The Kiwi Sim Racing team not going and backing down, looking for the team championship and seeing if they can carry the momentum they had in 2025 into 2026 as they continue on the charge. But 4th, 5th, and 6th place are completely onto each other's bumpers, trying to see where exactly they can stay at the top of the pack. Mark Newton not having an easy time out there, really just holding station at the moment, feeling the pressure that is right behind him. Where on earth can he carry the momentum forward through the pack? This is always a tough time around the circuit, and considering how short the circuit is, drivers are having to really think a little bit out the pack here and continue on the momentum forward. This is late on the brakes for the likes of Mark Newton, seeing Dylan Jordan ahead of him, opening up that gap. Now needs to cast his eyes back to the review mirrors. Robert Henry, Hayden Kirk constantly keeping the pressure on, biding their time, hoping for an opportunity to get on by. Cameron Dance, I've got to say, is one of the few drivers that have been moving forward through the pack, currently up 5 positions from where he started. And Robbie Bradbury going and moving up 7 positions since the start of this race, and will be moving a little bit more up the order. However, the biggest loss on circuit has to be the likes of Heath Minnering, who's down 13 positions from the start of the race, and will be hoping to try and claw back some time as they continue on here at the likes of Winton Motor Raceway, and hoping to break out of the pack for round 1. This is round 1 of 12 for the Major Series. We're going to be driving a variety of cars, a variety of circuits, testing where they can get the momentum moving forward. Who has got some of the best driving styles in various forms of motorsport, as we keep an eye on the field, feeling their way through. At the moment, Mark Newton in 4th place. Robert Henry starting to drop a little bit back. Now sees Hayden Kirk, and catching up little by little is Cameron Dons. He's 5 seconds off the bat, but has been trying to get a little bit more time underneath him The fastest lap time, however, goes to Ewan Baker with a 125.6 out in first place, and continues to try and break away at the moment. Dylan Jordan with a 126.1 as his fastest lap. Mark Newton, the 126.2 as it stands. 22 of our TCRs fight it out. And remember, this is a first heat out of 3, with our final heat having the top 9 reversed and going to be fighting their way at the back of the pack. So honestly, a grapple for position, trying to just it out. Tires starting to fade off, and also the drivers' endurance starting to waver just that little bit more around the circuit. It is 21 degrees out there. Those tires are taking a beating, and naturally the fronts on these TCR cars start to drop off. We also do have a battle down in 10th and 11th. Dan Stevens and Thomas Hanas going and running bumper to bumper, as Thomas looking to get past Dan Stevens as much as possible. Look towards the outside, no room there. Catching up to the likes of Ben Daltrey just ahead, and the likes of the Kiwi sim racing team are not going and backing down from the fight. But Mike, this has been an incredible running thus far. 11 laps so far on the cards out of 18 for Heat 1, and it's just a monumental battle for the front pack.
Oh, absolutely, and these guys have been absolutely just been in a dogfight since the green flag flew. I'm sorry, not the green flag, but since the green lights went up. So it's been very interesting to watch these drivers just, try to muscle their way around each other. And, while I have a brief moment here, after this heat race, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to pause the stream, make a quick adjustment, and come back live. So right after this race, give me not even 10 seconds, and we will be back. So if it stops and then comes back on, it's me, not you, and we're going to get this resolution taken care of.
Definitely just to take a breather after seeing all the action here. And honestly, I think it's going to be one of those, okay, let's get back to the racing action at hand. But Dan Stevens not backing down from the fight against Ben. He does look towards the inside line, backs out. Thomas and us right on the tail of it. Now, Mike, being in these cars is all about momentum, but the last thing you want to be doing is getting held up while you're chasing your way through.
Yes.
What would be the game plan, you would think, as we get closer and closer to the end of Heat 1?
Oh, man, that is the ultimate question, is as we, see these drivers make their way through these S's back down the front straightaway. There is really no room for passing here. So if you're going to want to make a pass late in this race, you're going to have to make a big dive bomb. And I know everybody just made their eyes nice and wide, but I think that's probably going to be the only way to start passing here late in these races.
I'll always try and figure out the next run through. Brad Wiggins down in 14th position, just trying to see where exactly he can get the momentum as well. But I've got to say, Heath Minnering was originally 13 positions down off a start, down into 17th now, and he's 11 positions down. So starting to make up a little bit of time in the order here, and wants to try get the fight back in. The Kiwi Sim Racing Speed Nation all-comers is now just hunting down Kevin Garcia ahead of him and looking to try and clear on by, but it's going to be late onto the brakes for each of the drivers. He does throw the car out wide. Garcia making sure that he's going to make the car even wider as a Ford Galaxy at the moment to just hold back the onslaught of Heath at the moment, who wants to try and claw back into the order and get a little bit closer to his teammates at the front of the pack. Ewan Baker, 1.3 seconds ahead of Van Kale, and who is in second. Dylan Jordan in third place, with Mark Newton still putting the pressure on the back of him in fourth. Robert Henry in fifth, along with Hayden Kirk, Cameron Dance, Matthew Pluck, Ben Daltrey, and Gavin Cox is in 12th position. He's hoping to stay in for the run. Thomas Hanas is ahead of him. Daniel Stevens holds on to the final of the top 10 and 4 positions up from where he started. But Cameron Dance 5 positions up from where he started, but just hasn't quite got the pace to catch up to Hayden Kirk as yet.
Yeah, I've been watching that time with Cameron Dance as well, and you know, he's been right about hanging about the same spot. You know, he's not gained, he hasn't really lost either. So I mean, if he's going to want to make, you know, any sort of movement in the next, you know, 3 laps, he's going to have to do it now. But I think he's just having a little bit of a struggle right now with his race car.
A couple of drivers putting wheel off circuit, going and pushing harder and harder. The question is, how many incident points are the drivers starting to rack up during the course of this race? Remember, they've only got 16 to play with before they get a drive-through. Any car contact is 4, loss of control is 2, and dropping the wheel off onto the dirt is 1. And they have to be so careful. No one can afford a drive-through at the moment, as we do have a battle down in 9th, 10th, and 11th position. Ben Daltrey, Dan Stevens, and Thomas Hanas all over the back of one another. Dan Stevens just pushing Ben that little bit harder, trying to see where he can get on by, with Thomas Hanas on the back of him, trying to go around the outside. But the Kiwi Sim Racing goes on the defense. Ben Daltrey does not want to lose out that 9th position. He knows if the door opens up, he's not going to have to worry about losing 1 position, as Thomas Hanas will be sending it down as well.
Yeah, the finishing order of this race will determine the start order for next race. So that's something these guys are going to also, you know, keep in back of their minds, you know, as this race also starts to close up here. You know, so they want to start moving up a little bit more, and you know, depending on how it all plays out for that 3rd race, you know, because that in the 3rd race, or I'm sorry, after the 2nd race, the top 9 will be inverted. So do you want to try to be up front at the end of that, or do you want to stay here in the back?
Well, we've got a problem with Aiden Kale as yellow flags come up, and he dropped off quite a bit, 2.2 seconds. Aiden making a critical mistake and losing a lot of time. That's allowing Dylan Jordan and Mark Newton to make up a bit of ground as well. So not an easy time out there for Aiden Kale, who originally started in pole position, down into 2nd and losing time little by little, as we're on lap 15 of 18. But Dylan Jordan and Mark Newton suddenly catching a little bit of hope, seeing that possibly if they can push a little bit more, and if Aiden makes 1 more mistake, 2nd place is on the cards, as they will be fighting their way through. And a podium in Heat 1 is no easy feat, as we do see Aiden running a little bit wide through our final 2 corners, trying to get the momentum back underneath him to catch up to Baker ahead.
Yeah, Aiden has to be careful of those off tracks, you know, as, you know, he did get a slowdown there, and, you know, that cost him just about a second and a half to almost 2 seconds, even more on Baker. So these off tracks and slowdowns can be absolutely crucial, especially at a track that is so small like this place.
2.9 kilometers, you go and lift off just enough, you suddenly get the competitors running right onto the back of you, and we'll be finding it out. But also, going a little bit further back, we talked about our top 9, 10, and 11 fighting out. Well, take a look. Gavin Cox in 12th has also started to make up a little bit of time. 2 laps to go for our TCRs of Heat 1 of the Major Series Round 1 for our Major Series International, and with a championship that not only they've got an international, like to the Major Series International, that they're trying to score points in, a team championship, and a overall Major Series championship. It's all to play for, to score crucial points off the start of the championship. You want to stay at the front and carry a lot of momentum through. However, who is going to be in the top 10? Well, Dan Stevens hopes to stay close enough to Thomas and us. Ben Daltrey starting to see the queue piling up behind him in the review mirrors, both left and right. Mark Newton in 4th place is starting to catch up to Dylan Jordan. He wants to go for that podium and chasing down at the moment. It is all on the cards with 1 lap to go here in Heat 1. It is an all-out battle as we jump to Gavin Barber down in 13th position.
Yeah.
He's hoping to get onto the back of Gavin Cox.
Yeah, I feel bad for Ben Daughtry here as he's got 4 teammates all right behind him. So he's definitely got a big pressure on him at the moment. But let's go ahead and jump back up here to our race leader of Ewan Baker. He's looking to finish out the second to the final lap in this first heat race with a big bang. As you see him now coming through some of the most technical parts of this circuit.
Well, honestly, when you are a defending champion, you want to carry the momentum through and make a statement. What bigger statement than a 3-second gap to second place? Coming around, looking towards the line. Ewan Baker going to be more than happy to really push that a little bit more. Final lap for our drivers. Baker wanting to make it count here at Winton Motor Raceway for Heat 1 and continues to push that a little bit more. Aiden Cale in 2nd place. Dylan Jordan in 3rd. Mark Newton holding on to 4th, wanting to get into the podium positions. But Baker, legging it little by little, continues to try and force a quicker time. Last lap time was a 126.2. Wants to get back into the 125s. But that front end, those tires crying for mercy. Saying, listen, you're pushing me harder and harder. He's wanting to go and walk away with the victory at the moment. The question is, can he hang on just for that little bit longer?
Yeah, just what an incredible first heat race here for Baker as he is sitting 3.2 seconds ahead of Aiden Cale, right behind him in that number 501 machine. But this heat race number 1 belongs to Edwin Baker as he comes out of the final corner and to the start-finish line.
Charging across the line, checkered flag, well deserved. 2nd to 1st goes to Ewan Baker. Aiden Cale going into holding on to 2nd place. Dylan Jordan in 3rd, followed by Mark Newton. Robert Henry looking to hold on to that top 5 ahead of Hayden Kirk. Cameron Dance in 7th position, just ahead of Matthew Pluck at the moment. And Ben Daltrey right onto the tail, but take a look at the gaggle coming across the line. What a charge. And honestly, I think we're in for an absolutely amazing day with racing from our TCRs. What a track, what a car combo, and the drivers doing everything they can. But it is going to be lining up for the Kiwi Sim Racing, who will be smiling ear to ear at the moment. The team putting in a monstrous fight across the line.
Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and take a real quick break, and the stream will go off, but don't go anywhere. We will be live again in like 10 to 15 seconds. We'll be right back. I'm back live.
Yep, you bring us in.
I'm back live.
Yep, you bring us in.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hopefully everything's going to start to look a lot better this time around.
And we back in for Heat 2 as they retake their positions. Baker out in 1st place will have the advantage with Aiden Cale in 2nd place. Dylan Jordan, Mark Newton, Robert Henry, Hayden Kirk, Cameron Dance, Matthew Pluck in 8th. Ben Daltrey, Thomas and us, Daniel Stevens, Gavin Cox, Kevin Barber, along with Brad Wiggins, Robbie Bradbury, along with Kevin Garcia in 16th, Heath Minnering in 17th, 18th, Paul McKenzie, Stuart Elder, Mocktown, Craig Tilson, and Robert Northway round out the pack. Lights on, bring the revs up to 5,000 RPM, clutch in, clutch out, and away we go. And Aiden Kale trying to get off a line. Unfortunately, not an easy time this way. And immediately, it's a hot push and a mistake going into turn 1. And that, unfortunately, is Mark Newton down the order. Tried to go and push Baker a little bit more. And unfortunately, all went wrong. Gavin Barber turned round at the start. It is a disastrous run for Gavin and Mark. Craig Tilson, unfortunately, also getting the black flag. And that is going to be for a jump start. Stuart Elder down in 19th position. But all went completely pear-shaped for our drivers off the start. Ewan Baker was suddenly getting a bump draft, and it all went wrong. But second place is Robert Henry. And let's take a look into turn 1. Late on the brakes for Barber, stuck on the inside, goes out a little bit wide, clipped on the rear, and then all she goes, hard impact into the wall, and that rear suspension, not going to be a happy camper.
No, not at all. We're coming back here. Won't give it to me this way, so we're just going to have to do it old-fashioned way here real quick. And looks like he had a little bit of help.
Unfortunately, that was Aiden Kale. Then had his nose getting driven over, gets spun around. Mark Newton tried to close him off there as he was pushing Ewan Baker. But what a drive. Robert Henry up in 6th place. Dylan Jordan into 3rd. Aiden Kale in 4th place. Now trying to put the charge on. Hayden Kirk, Cameron Dodds, Matthew Pluck, Thomas Hanas, Dan Stevens, and Ben Daltrey hold on to the top 10 as Aiden sends it down the inside of Dylan Jordan, trying to get on by. And unfortunately for Dylan, visiting the dirt there, and likes of Aiden Kale not backing down from the fight, has got Hayden Kirk looking down the inside of him. His teammate for Aiden Kale has got Cameron Dodds trying to provide a little bit of a backup, but it's team against team as they march away through. Cameron sinks it in a little bit deep through the corner, and now trying to make his way back into the mix has got Matthew Pluck right on him.
Yeah, these 4 drivers here giving it all they got here in heat race number 2 on the 2nd lap. Aiden Kale, he falling back all the way to that 4th spot after that big mayhem down in the first corner on lap 1. So these drivers are trying to get their footing again here in heat race number 2. As you see, Kale still putting a lot of pressure back on Jordan there for that 3rd spot.
Just not giving up the fight. He wants to get back up into the podium spots, but Dylan Jordan now going to make the car as wide as possible. They got the likes of Robert Henry, who's got a little bit of breathing room between these two. A massive send into T1. Dylan Jordan very confident on the brakes and keeping a very close eye on the rearview mirrors as Aiden sends it up on the inside yet again through the right-hander. And it's side by side, but Aiden keeping his nose just ahead, sweeps across. Dylan Jordan down into 4th place. Hayden Kirk getting a phenomenal drive on his teammate and will be pushing that a little bit more. But Aiden Kale not gonna be backing off. And I think the red mist has come down in full force. Cameron Dodds staying in the mix as well, looking to try and get past Hayden as quick as possible.
Aiden absolutely full sent it, just like I was talking about back in heat race number 1. There's not much of a passing opportunity. The only passing opportunities here is, from what I'm noticing, is the opportunities that you make, and we just saw Aiden Kale do just that on Dylan Jordan.
We guys also talk about Craig Tilson, who had a rough run in race 1 and now having a rough run in race 2, down in 22nd position and a lap down for our leaders. Definitely a race to forget at the moment. Middle Finger Racing definitely gonna be going and thinking, what do I need to do to get momentum my side? What do I need to do to try and get a positive here? However, there is a 3rd heat to come. Maybe, just maybe, can put it all together for the final heat of the day. But Enkale up into third, looks to catch up to Robert Henry in second place as they charge on by. Robert Bradbury, unfortunately, dropping down the order. Something's happened to Robbie Bradbury at the moment as he falls down into 18th position. Robert Northway losing out to Matt Town, but take a look at the fight going on. And oh, Robbie getting it all out of shape, trying to rejoin the circuit, taking the rallycross approach there. The Fusion Gold International team that took second place in 2025 for the team championship for the Majors Series International. Well, Robbie losing it all down the order. We'll have to see if he can make up time to Robert Northway ahead.
I mean, during week 13, I driven these cars on a rally track. Let me tell you what, it is an absolute blast to do. And also, taking these cars up Mount Washington, also a fun blast. So, going off-road isn't necessarily a bad thing for these drivers.
Well, the likes of Hyundai and Honda actually did rather well in rallying, but I wouldn't say the TCR cars have got the most forgiving suspension if you're going and blasting off a circuit, especially with open setups on these cars. Everyone just trying to make them just that little bit stiffer, that little bit more pointy to attack the corners as much as possible and get the rear to rotate to try and push themselves out through the corners. The last thing you want to have is understeer as Stuart Eldot getting overtaken by Robert Northway, who is just trying to make up a bit of time after a bit of a chaotic start at the moment, as each of the drivers have got 18 laps in Heat 2 to make it or break it. A 125.7 was set by Ewan Bacon as our fastest lap time. Robert Henry in second place, up 3 positions since the start. But it is Mark Newton who's had the worst of the runs, currently 13 positions down from his starting position, and looking to just try and reclaim some positions, some chance in the points here, and hoping to get back into the top 10 fight. So, Mike, with that being said, drivers pushing a little bit more in Heat 2, red mist coming down. What is going to be the game plan from your opinion to try and keep going? Are you going to keep the hard push? You're going to take a breather, hold back a lap, and then going onto the attack and see where they all going to work their way through? I mean, Mark Newton is in 16th position. He's on to the back of Brad Wiggins and Paul McKenzie, who are fighting out between one another, and is really going and diving into the corners. He's really scrubbing those fronts harder and harder every single time. Is it worth just giving it a little bit of a cool down on the tires, or is it going to be just keep on the attack? Well, I think we're about to just get that on. So Mark Newton sends it up on the inside and taking no prisoners at the moment.
Yeah, for me, it's only lap 6 of 18. I've already just pushed 5 laps. I think I'm going to chill just for about 2 or 3 laps here, and then make another run on attack while I try to keep the guys behind me while I'm letting my tires cool back off some, because I want the grip on my front end, you know, to be able to whip around these corners as fast as I can. So I think I'll just relax for a couple laps. You know, they run about 3 or 4 laps hard, and then take my time again for the final couple laps, and then, you know, see what I can get out of it.
Don't think anyone's told that to Mark Newton, who goes up on the inside of Paul McKenzie and gets the pass, charging through. And unfortunately, Heath Mannering off into the dirt and having nearly the entirety of the field coming past him, as it is a fight out. It is nose to tail, side by side. Unfortunately for Heath, stuck on the outside into turn 1, just able to get ahead of Brad Wiggins. That Town hanging on to the back as well, as they continue to push on, as they march their way up through the order. No one wanting to lose out that little bit of time. Remember, the top 9 will be reversed come Heat 3, and that is going to change the entire landscape, because at the moment, Ewan Baker will be starting from that 9th spot, and for the first time this race will be off the front row. He has not dropped beyond second place and will be looking at 9th place to try and fight his way through. Hayden Cale in second place along with Robert Henry in third. Dylan Jordan, Hayden Kirk, Cameron Dance, Matthew Pluck, Thomas Hanas, Daniel Stevens, and Ben Daltrey will be holding on to the top 10 as it stands.
Yeah,
this has been incredible racing off the start of the bat for our TCRs.
Oh, absolutely. And as of right now, as it stands, Dan Stevens and Thomas Hens, they will start on the front row of the third race if it were to end now. So, these guys could be playing it smart to possibly, get a top 3 out of this in heat number 3. So it's definitely going to be very interesting, yet very fun to watch Ewan Baker come from that 9th spot all the way to the front.
Thomas not giving his teammate any room to get on by, but just giving him a little bit of a slipstream at the moment as they're trying to make up at a time to Matthew Pluck and Cameron Dance just ahead. Running line astern. Question is, how much communication are the teammates having to one another during this very, very tight circuit? 2.9 kilometers here in Australia, 12 corners to battle it out, 18 laps to really make it work. How much communication is going amongst the drivers to say, right, stick behind me, let's pull a little bit closer, and let's see where it's all going to end up. Robert Henry down in third place, trying to keep ahead of Dylan Jordan, Hayden Kirk, and Cameron Dance is 1.8 seconds behind.
Yeah, as far as teammates going, I would be praying as a team owner that they are communicating with each other, because to a point at the end of the day, I want a good, strong finish from my team, but I know also deep down, we're all racers. We all want that W.
In the immortal words of Ayrton Senna, if you're not going for the gap, you're not a real race driver, and that is definitely going to be the case. Dylan Jordan holding on to that 4th place, running out a bit wide, going and picking up an off track. Got to be so careful not to lose too much time, and actually losing a lot of time to Robert Henry ahead. Just not able to carry the same momentum, taking a tighter line through the corners versus the wide run for Robert Henry, who just throws the car in a little bit more comfortable to pivot at mid-corner to go for those apexes. Well, Dylan Jordan really hugging the curbs as much as possible, wanting to really keep it all in check. They do have their teammate going and breaking up. That is a blue flag that is behind them, and that separates the likes of Dylan Jordan, Hayden Kirk, and Cameron Dance, who hangs on to the back of him. That's Hayden Kirk keeping on to Dylan Jordan and really trying to see where he can get into the mix. And Cale, 4.4 seconds back from our leader.
Yeah, Baker, he's absolutely on a complete different scale this race. We still got a good 7-8 laps to go here, and he's already opened up to a 4.5 second lead over Cale. So Baker, whatever he's got underneath that hood, he's got it figured out.
Going and really dialing up the wick, and when you're defending the championship, that is where you want to be, as he continues to keep it all in check. And Cale trying to just make up some time after a bit of a chaotic start into the likes of T1. Robert Henry holding on to third, Dylan Jordan in 4th place, Hayden Kirk in that top 5. Dylan, the likes of Cameron Dance, has got Matthew Pluck and Thomas Hanas onto the back of him, trying to push that little bit harder, trying to see where they can go. Dan Stevens and Ben Daltrey hold on to the top 10, with Gavin Cox in 11th position, giving Ben a bit of a run for his money there. So absolutely incredible racing up and down through the order, and each of the drivers giving it that little bit more of a push, trying to see where exactly they're going to end up at the end of Heat 2 here in the Major Series International, and who's going to be walking away with maximum points for the championship for the start of 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. And something I want to point out while we're watching Dylan Jordan here trying to, keep up with his teammate Robert Henry, it just dawned on me that they are part of the same team. And the two cars behind Henry are gold, but his is silver. And then it just dawned on me, I put two and two together. Those two back behind Robert are the pro division drivers. And Henry, he's in the silver division, and he's kicking their butts at the moment.
What they say, looks are deceiving sometimes when you've got a little bit of silver in the hair. You're the most experienced out on circuit. Well, Dylan Jordan going to be trying to see if he can get past Henry as fast as possible. Robert Henry going and making the car as wide as possible, defending those inside lines, making sure he can't be attacked. But Dylan Jordan just biding his time at the moment. See where exactly can he go for the absolute send down the inside. And if you're interested in joining in, the series is still open. And after seeing the incredible action on circuit, head over to the Majors website. It is absolutely incredible. We do have the MEC that has got on the Major Series, and that is www.majorseries.com. Sign up with us, as there's plenty of racing to come this year for 2026. Not only have we got the Major Series International, we have got the European and Americas that will be as well, but a big jump from Dylan Jordan and Robert Henry, but Robert getting a lot of airtime that way as he mounted the curbs, sent it onto three wheels, and still didn't lose too much time.
No, that was absolutely breathtaking as he came out of that last corner and just flew up into the air. Just, wow.
Could have ended in an absolute nightmare, and someone, I think, held his breath through that was Robert Henry, suddenly understeering out, bouncing over the sausage curbs, and it all was looking a little bit rough on the way down.
Yeah, I want to jump back here to Cameron Dance, Matthew Pluck, Thomas Hens. You know, these guys are really starting to duke it out back here for right about that 6th, 7th spot. So I just want to point these guys out real quick. You know, they're running pretty close nose to tail.
Thomas not holding back at the moment, trying to see where he can get the momentum. Take a look at Matthew Pluck, though. A very tight entrance into the second last right-hander, trying to guard the apexes as much as possible from Thomas, and right behind them, Dan Stevens is just hanging on to the coattails, biding his time for the opportunity to come in. Cameron Dance, however, not going to be breaking away just as yet. Not as confident into the braking zones to open up that gap. He brakes a little bit earlier, prioritizing a faster exit than entrance.
Yeah, he's doing everything he can to keep those that hard-charging Thomas Hens behind him. But Cameron Dance, he's starting to pull away just a little bit from Pluck and Hines here.
I think it's going to be because of the mirrors being absolutely full. Matthew looking left and right. That center mirror is just full of Thomas, who is on a serious attack. He's actually bleeding off the brakes a little bit earlier. The trail braking coming into play, and he's just letting the car roll forward that little bit more, waiting for just a gap. If he can put his nose in and get that inside line, he can start to try and force a gap to open up more and more. So Thomas is going to have to really think about it in the next 4 laps as he's running out of time. Dan Stevens also dialing up the wick to get a bit closer. Ben Daltrey in 10th place is hoping to stay in the mix as well, seeing the fighting duo ahead. And also, you do have a close battle starting to build up for 3rd and 4th. Robert Henry and Dylan Jordan. Everyone is just hammer and tongs at the moment. Everyone trying to score as many points before the final heat for the Major Series International Round 1. And this is an absolutely incredible fight.
Yeah, absolutely. All these drivers are doing a fantastic job here this evening, or morning, wherever you guys may be, time zone. You know, these guys are absolutely doing a phenomenal job, putting on a really good show. I'm actually really enjoying myself. watching these TCR cars go at it. And let me tell you what, this is some of the best clean driving I have seen in a very long time.
Well, when you have got these absolute pros out on circuit, what more can you expect other than some incredible racing? Robin Henry holding on to that third place. Dylan Jordan just keeping the pressure on, saying, listen, I want this podium really, really badly right now. And unfortunately, Robert, you are in my way. I am going to hunt you down. I'm going to look for that kink in the armor as he does bleed off the throttle a little bit early into turn 1, hoping that he can just see the brake marker. The last thing you want to be is right up the rear bumper of your competitor and miss that brake marker board. Unfortunately, that means that you can visit the sand pit very, very quickly and lose out a lot of time, as we saw a little bit early on in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, getting off track, you know, can be absolutely detrimental here at this track, as, you know, one little off track can hit you quick with a speed violation pretty much for cutting the course. So you'll have to give up even more time slowing yourself down to give up that time gain. And so just trying to keep your wheels on, you know, on this surface and be fast, it's definitely a beautiful ballet dance, as Jordan was possibly looking on the inside of Henry there.
Try to stay down the inside. I think the most uncomfortable one will be going back to the virtual pits and explaining to Team Boss why on earth did you land up in the dirt and taking your teammate with you during the course of the race. Is one that I don't think is going to be a conversation had with a chocolate milkshake in front of you.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Dylan Jordan biding his time, just counting down the laps, waiting to see where he can go. And this is just saving a bit of tires with him as running a line astern. Matthew Pluck getting the pass on Cameron Dance, who is down into 7th position. And 3rd place is anyone's choice. But take a look at the fight going on here. Cameron Dance on the outside, trying to fight it out. Matthew Pluck on the inside. Thomas right up his gearbox. Dan Stevens as well. Hayden Kirk is going to be smiling ear to ear as this gaggle fight it out. But Cameron Dance is literally doing everything he can, hanging on for dear life. And Matthew sends it up on the inside. A little bit of contact between the two, costing him time. Thomas tries to get in the mix as well, as it's side by side for Cameron and Matthew.
Absolutely crazy driving for these drivers here. And let me tell you what, Thomas Hens has an absolute beautiful view of it, as we're going to ride on board and watch these two duke it out right in front.
Absolutely amazing stuff. No one backing down. Thomas looks to the outside. Can't get the pass on Matthew. And Cameron runs out wide. In through the second right, the last right-hand corner. And it's Thomas in tow as they run currently 6th, 7th, and 8th. And right behind them, Dan Stevens, Ben Daltrey, Gavin Cox, all looking for the opportunity, licking their lips right now, seeing who is going to fight it out. Cameron's got a little bit of breathing room on Matthew. Thomas tried to go on the attack, and Dan Stevens joins in the queue. It is a brawl. It is a fight. It is a Royal Rumble right now in the top 10.
What an amazing race we have here for the final lap and a half for heat race number 2. If this is the prelude to heat number 3 of what we're going to see, I am absolutely stoked for heat number 3, as these drivers have less than 2 laps to figure out who's going to get 6th spot.
This is TCR racing at its finest. If you're not over the bumper of your competitor, you got to be by the wing mirror. And Cameron, with a little bit of breathing room, is trying to run away. Dan Stevens onto the back of Thomas, trying to see where he can go. Ben in the top 10 is just seeing where he can make up time. But don't count out Gavin Cox and Mark Newton, as also closed up onto this train. One mistake, and it's all going to turn on its head. It's all going to go insane as we're on to the final lap. It is now or never to get it that send. Who is going to hold on to the top as Cameron runs in a little bit deep? So does Matthew, Thomas, Dan, Ben, Gavin, Mark. Everyone's on top of one another. And even Robert and Dylan Jordan fighting out for third. They going hammer and tongs at one another. This is madness for the final lap of the race. And we are keeping an eye on 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th position. And 12th alternate.
I want to go back to the race leader as he's getting ready to cross the stripe for the race win, but well, I'm having too much fun watching this action back here.
Thomas trying everything he can. He looks on the inside of Matthew. Ewan Baker is going to be taking the victory by 5 seconds, but I have to agree, this is absolute madness. This is incredible racing. This is nose to tail. This is Major Series International at its finest right now. Thomas hoping to go for that 7th spot. Cameron's got the breakaway. He's got it out of the chokehold. But now it is all or nothing for the competitors as they fight left and right. Dan Stevens hunting down any way to get on by. Second last corner into the final right. Cameron's got the run to hold on to that 6th place. Matthew, like Thomas and us, along with Dan Stevens, Ben Daltrey, Gavin Cox, Mark Newton. But it's Ewan Baker, Aidan Cale, and Robert Henry that take the top 3. Baker makes it 2 out of 3 and will be starting from 9th position in Heat 3.
Absolutely, what a way to finish Heat Race number 2. I just realized I was not breathing whatsoever that last half lap because now I'm over here trying to catch my breath on everything that just happened that last couple laps.
Absolutely incredible. Honestly, breathing, what's that? Well, I can tell you, for the likes of 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, there was no breathing there. Everyone was just doing everything he can. The one person that had tons of breathing room, Ewan Baker, our defending champion, has gone and once again taken the victory. And Cale, a beautiful recovery up into 2nd place. But we move on. Our top 9 will be going and getting inverted for our final heat of the day. Dan Stevens in 1st place. Thomas and us will be holding on to 2nd place. First time in the front row, along with Matthew Pluck, Cameron Dons, Hayden Kirk, Dylan Jordan, Robert Henry, Aidan Cale, Ewan Baker in 9th, Ben Daltrey, Gavin Cox, Mark Newton, Robert Northway, Kevin Garcia, Heath Minnering, Brad Wiggins, Matt Town, Stuart Alder, Paul McKenzie, Robert Bradbury, Gavin Barber, and rounding out the pack, Craig Tilson, who's hoping to get the jump and move forward after a disastrous Heat 1 and Heat 2.
Yeah, we're definitely in for an absolute treat watching Ewan Baker come back from that 9th spot as we are waiting for the final cars to come out to the starting grid. And that will do it. Lights are coming on. Heat race number 3
Lights
about
on.
to start.
Lights on, lights on. Who's going to get the start? And it's a jump off the line. Beautiful start for the likes of Thomas, who tries to get around Daniel, but a launch off the line for Matthew as he sends it down the inside of Cameron. But it's a mistake for Daniel Stevens, who jumps the curb, will be starting to get a slowdown. And it's going to be Thomas up on the inside. Cameron sends it as well, trying to go for that 2nd place, and he's just pulling the queue along, but it is a big mistake in the back. Unfortunately, we have got a bit of chaos happening, but it is absolutely a great time for each and every one of our drivers as they launch off the line, trying to move forward. Ewan Baker, however, not having the easiest time. He's down into 14th and will be fighting his way back towards the top.
Yeah, I want to go back to Gavin Cox here at the start of this as he got turned and then
by our defending champion.
Yeah, then he's just had a little bit of a trouble time getting back on track, and he's fallen all the way back to that 22nd spot.
Well, bit of a troubling one. And big
no!
mistake, and it even catches Ewan Baker on the nose. It is going absolutely frantic. All turn on its head as drivers fighting their way through. Baker gets clipped in the rear. Baker's off into the dirt, trying to bring it back. The front is looking very second-hand, and that is not going to be covered by the insurance.
Let's go back and take a look at what just transpired here with Mark Newton. Just heading down here into turn 1. You got sitting in the middle of the track, nowhere for some of these drivers to go, including Ewan Baker and that number 34 machine.
Absolutely gone all over, and a couple of meatball flags coming out. Robert Henry, Aiden Cale, and Mark Newton needing to utilize that fast repair. Cale, who's got second place in Heat 1 and Heat 2, will be in the pits getting a fast repair done. They've only got one, and now it is all gone topsy-turvy. And let's take a look at what happened. Diving into turn 1, late on the brakes, over the curb on the inside, getting a little bit out of shape. Round and massive impact into the wall for the drivers, and that is unfortunately all she wrote for going for the podium in Heat 3. Robert Henry, Aiden Cale, Mark Newton, all going and getting their cars written off the back. Baker, who is trying to claw his way back after a disastrous run. Cameron Dance into second place. Got Matthew Pluck, Dan Stevens, Dylan Jordan, Ben Daltrey in sixth. Kevin Garcia, Robbie Bradbury, Hayden Kirk, and Ewan Baker running out of top 10. But we said that the third heat is going to flip the script. I didn't expect it to completely change. And take a look at Cameron getting it all out of shape as he tries to rejoin ahead of Matthew Pluck.
Yeah, this start of heat number 3 was pure chaos. Robert Henry, Aiden Cale, Mark Newton all had to get a tow back to the pits. You know, Edwin Baker getting damaged to the front end of his race car early on from that Newton spin. I mean, just absolute pure chaos. And we're only on lap number 3 of Heat 3.
And it looks like that Mark Newton may have actually retired the car out of this race and calling it quits for round 1. And what a blow for the likes of Mark Newton. But take a look at Matthew Pluck. Looks on the inside. Can he go a little bit late on the brakes? Cameron trying to go around the outside. Gets forced out wide into the dirt. He's still going to stick it in. He's still going to try his best as it's side by side out of the final corner. Cameron's not going to be giving up. Matthew is fighting it out, and Dan Stevens hanging on to the coattails, biding his time as he's doing fight out. A big mistake coming in. It is a swap round, a big impact. Matthew with the rear getting taken out. Just went a little bit wide. Caught the nose of Cameron Dance, and that is all she wrote, unfortunately, and needing a bit of repair work to the car, as now getting swamped by the field, not having that error on the back. The rear is going to be doing the tango, and unfortunately, Matthew is holding up his own teammate of Robert
there he goes.
And gets put out of shape. Big impact into the wall, and that unfortunately is how you reduce drag. Heath Mannering trying to keep it all together, down in 15th position. Matthew Pluck needing to go back into the pits for mandatory repair. The meatball flag, that black flag with an orange dot in the middle, means that you're gonna have to go back. Your team is gonna have to pull out all the spares and get you back on circuit. But it does look like Aiden Cale is unfortunately not out on circuit as yet. Mark Newton rejoins, Robert Henry rejoins, but Aiden Cale is still in pit lane, and something tells me he's not a happy camper.
No, definitely not. It's, you know, absolutely heartbreaking, you know, coming out dominating, getting, you know, first or getting second the first 2 heats, and then all because of a invert it just absolutely changes your whole entire game. And that not only bit Aiden Kale there, it also bit your race winner in Heat 1 and 2 of Ewan Baker, who's slowly making his way back up through the field. He's up to 8th now.
Starting in 9th, dropped the way down to 14th, and you can see that front end missing, no bumper there, and has got advanced cooling at the moment, as there is no restriction for any sort of airflow, but he is right up the back of Robbie Bradbury, just going and sniffing the tailpipes, making sure, have you got 93 unleaded there? Have you got 95? Let's investigate and see what's happening. As they charge their way through, Robbie is going to have a bit of a problem as Hayden Kirk is sticking very, very close at the moment. And Ewan Baker off into the dirt, picking up an off track and losing a bit of time. And it's going to be 3 wide into the corner. And it's going to be Robbie backing off the throttle, saying, listen, I want to be part of this trouble. And Hayden, the last of the late breakers, getting the jump on there.
Wow, just absolutely craziness still here in heat number 3. That I'm just absolutely speechless, Steve. Wow.
Absolutely. And we've got the fight up for 3rd and 4th as well, along with 2nd. Ben Daltrey has got a problem with Dan Stevens, Cameron Dance. It is just going mad. Ewan Baker trying to claw his way back. If he can stay within the top 5, he's maximized majority of the points to get a jump in the championship. But for others, it is an absolute go. As we got it, if we could take a look at 3rd and 4th at the moment, Cameron and Dan are hammer and tongs at one another, hoping to push that little bit more. Dan Stevens, who we're taking a look at, all over the back of Cameron Dance, who you can see that front right is not looking so happy, little bit bent in. Dan Stevens trying to capitalize at the moment, but leading the pack by 5 seconds is Thomas Hinnis, who is just absolutely gonna be smiling ear to ear on this one, because you want to get a checkered flag, especially in the final heat. And after Thomas has fought his way through lap after lap in heat 1 and heat 2, he wants to open up that gap a little bit more.
Yeah, Thomas is in a absolute different zip code versus everybody else. You know, he overtook that race lead early on, and he just said, see ya, as he is just absolutely driving away from the field. And pun intended, I think he stuck his middle finger out and said, see ya.
Well, that is definitely the case, but now got to keep his eyes firmly focused forward as they charge their way through. Benton Daltrey holding on to 2nd place, Cameron Dons, Dan Stevens, Kevin Garcia, Ewan Baker up into 6th. Has got Hayden Kirk, Robbie Bradbury, Robert Northway, and Paul McKenzie hold on to the top 10. The likes of Ewan Baker's not going to quite have the straight line as he would like, but Cameron Dance is doing everything he can and is one driver that is not going to be backing down, as we've seen in heat 1 and heat 2, that is used to getting elbows out with the cars around him. Cameron has got Dan and Kevin Garcia on the back of him as he loses a little bit of time to Ben ahead, but Kevin Garcia is really on a hard push right now to see if he can move up into 3rd place. He needs to clear Dan, he needs to clear Cameron, and he needs to keep up the momentum at the moment as they continue on the charge. Ewan Baker in 6th position, 1.3 seconds back from them. Hayden Kirk in 7th, Robbie Bradbury, Robert Northway in 9th position, and Paul McKenzie. This top 9 invert has completely inverted the grid, and I do want to take my hat off. One driver that has really had a tough time out there, Craig Tilson, is up into 13th position, a little bit further down where he wanted to be, but up 9 places from where he started, a little bit better than what he had in heat 2.
Yeah, Craig Tilson, he is absolutely trying his best, because every point matters, no matter what the position is. You know, at the end of the day, You know, we got a long season championship that these guys are running for. So you keep pushing, you keep digging, and you try to gain as many points as you can, even if it's just 1 or 2 points.
This is where I love my old saying, and I stick to it every single time. If you see the green, you gotta see the checkered, because you don't know what's going to happen during the race. You don't know how it's all going to flip, and considering our first couple of laps have been absolutely mental, it has been a great run for those who are looking to score every point possible. I do want to go and point out Robbie Bradbury has currently got the most positions gained off the start of the race, up 12 positions into 8th place at the moment behind Hayden Kirk, and will be continuing to try and make that count. It goes around the outside, not quite having the drive to just get ahead, but gonna try go land on the brakes. Oh my heavens, around the outside. Robbie is really throwing it in. He gets it out of shape into the dirt, trying to bring it back.
Beautiful.
Oh my, a quick run there. A little bit of a flash coming in as well from the likes of Robbie Bradbury. Robert Northway was one that bit into the dirt. Bradbury saying, oh, sorry, buddy, didn't quite mean to clip you on the rear there, but I'm going to come back at you again. And unfortunately, Paul McKenzie looking to join in the party as well.
Oh, contact there between Bradbury and McKenzie, as these drivers are still trying to track down Robert Northway. I know right before Northway made that run, Bradbury was flashing his lights at Northway, telling him, hey, you're slowing me down, get out of my way.
Yep, Bob unfortunately has the black flag, going to be slowing down a little bit. Got Heath Memmering right behind, and Heath going and gaining a position. Gavin unfortunately going to be losing a lot of time in this final heat as they continue to push on, but we do have a fight for third place. Cameron Dance and Dan Stevens up in third and fourth. And take a look at Dodds down the inside. Gonna go and do a little bit of a tango. Barber doing the drive-through, but take a look at these two side by side. Stevens and Dodds are going and fighting it out left, right, and center at the moment. And it does look like Dan Stevens was the better of the bunch and hoping to keep ahead of Cameron Dodds, but you can't take it away from Cameron. Orbit Drop Bear is not backing down from this fight. He wants to show Dad that he is here to fight it out left, right, and center. This has gone from your typical little bit of a dance to the Russian ballet. It's hard, it's fast, and it is going to push you to your limit and see who is going to break first.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is going to be a nail biter all the way to the checkered flag. You know, as we saw the last 2-3 laps of heat number 2 and the first 11 laps here, it's been a mental chaos out here. But let me tell you what, it's been an absolute blast to watch here on the Major Series Network.
Absolutely incredible stuff in the start of the Major Series International, and definitely one to keep an eye on, as each of the drivers will be pushing harder and harder. And this is what we have come to know from the Majors Series. It brings out some of the best driving and also forces you to get out your comfort zone, really start digging in deep and really see where you can go, where it takes oval drivers, pinning them against circuit drivers and seeing who can stand at the top. From tin tops to single seaters, we have seen it all, and this is not the end of it. We're going to be mixing it up with a bit of dirt driving, circuit driving, oval driving, so much during the course of the season, and it is open for you to still enter. If you are sitting on the grandstand, the virtual grandstands now, looking, saying, I want to be a part of this, head over to www.majorseries.com, join in the fun, and be a part of the amazing action and see if you can keep up with some of the drivers out on circuit at the moment. Cameron Dons has currently got the number 5 car of Robert Henry, who had the worst start in all 3 heats, going and pressurizing him. Robert Henry clearing on by, and this I think is going to be a really good move for Cameron as he can now work on the toe and utilize Robert as a wrecking ball to get past Dan Stevens.
Wait, I think that's a lap car in between Stevens and Dance.
That is Robert Henry, who is a lap down, unlapping himself, and will be that wrecking ball. But Cameron Dance is actually losing a lot of time. Maybe the front starting to feel the punishment that he had a little bit early on, but will be casting his eyes back because while his teammate was fighting in Heat 1 and Heat 2 against Ewan Baker, it's now Cameron Dance's chance to take on Baker right behind. The Kiwi Sim Racing Speed Nation Pro driver will be hoping to claw his way towards a podium after a disastrous start. And I've got to say, despite the damage to the nose, he is still in for a hard push. But that is not the only fight we're going on circuit, as we also got our top 10 in within 10th, 11th and 12th. Stuart Elder trying to keep up drive all the way from Ireland onto the back of Matt Town and Paul McKenzie just ahead of him.
There he
but
goes.
Take a look at this one. Stuart tried to send it down the inside. Unfortunately, the Fusion Sportsman, he couldn't quite get that pass, and that's allowed Craig to get onto the back of him.
Yeah, Craig Tilson once again moved up one spot since we last checked in with him. So that's another point in his book. So all these points are going to really add up here at the end of this race.
And something it points out, the fastest driver on circuit is not within the top 10. It's actually 21st position. It is Mark Newton, who currently holds on to the fast lap of 125.9, and I think it's because he's on the gaggle like this. Craig getting a absolute push at the moment, has got Dylan Jordan and Gavin Cox on the back of him, but it is Dylan Jordan who is playing piggy in the middle and has to be so careful where he brakes, otherwise he is going to get checked up into the corners, trying to see where he can get a little bit more drive towards Stuart Elder. But Dylan Jordan is doing everything he can to stay in the mix with Gavin Cox. Heath Menering in 16th position, who is right on the tail. It is just a fight of note through the field, and Craig is soaking up the pressure at the moment, but it's got to be a swap round. Is he going to lose out the drive? Dylan Jordan looks to the inside, brakes a little bit later, hooks it in on the apex, trying to get the drive on the exit in through this last right-hander, and absolutely gets that pass. And what a run for Dylan Jordan, and what a fight back from Craig Tilson, who's now got Heath Menering on the back of it.
Yeah, Craig Tilson again, just absolutely giving everybody now a big fight here. As Cameron Dance, I just saw he went off track for a hot second, but no harm, no foul. He'll still be staying back there in that 5th spot, but Ewan Baker is now up to that 4th spot.
Heath Menering, unfortunately, off into the dirt. Robert Henry will be serving a drive-through from 20th position. Unfortunately, all those off tracks, so that little bit of contact, that 16x that builds up, means that you're going to have to do the driver shave down pit lane, and not quite how you want to be ending off your race day at the moment. Craig Tilson going and giving it everything. He's got Stuart Elder, however, for the Fusion in the sportsman class, trying to see if he can get the pass on Matt Town. Sends it up on the inside. Matt ran out wide, trying to bring it back, and unfortunately won't quite have the drive needed, but it's going to have to go a little bit later on the break. Can he get it done? Ooh, Stuart Elder stuck on the outside, forced out wide. That's opened the door. Stuart loses out to Craig, and it is all a great run for Craig. Going to be saying thank you, thank you, thank you on that one. Sorry, that was Dylan Jordan who got that pass.
Yeah, really good run there for Dylan Jordan. As we're seeing a black flag for Cameron Dance up in that 5th spot.
or drive through for Cameron. If it's gone from worst case scenario, well, it's definitely going backwards for him. Robert Henry visiting the dirt, but Cameron Dance, from holding on to the top 5, will be dropping out of the top 10, and it has been a nightmare run for the Orbit Drop Bear team. Not only with Eden Kale out of the race, but Cameron Dance will be dropping down the order, and this is going to be a big moment for Kevin Garcia, Robert Northway, Robbie Bradbury, Paul McKenzie, who are all fighting within that top 10. They will see Cameron diving into the pits. He's got 3 laps to serve that drive through penalty, but take a look at the top. It is Thomas Hinnis who currently leads out the pack. Ben Daltrey, Dan Stevens, Ewan Baker up into 4th, Hayden Kirk, Kevin Garcia. I mean, we have got an incredible run at the top 5, with the only driver who has stood on the podium during the course of this entire round 1, Ewan Baker, sitting in 4th place. It is going into an absolutely incredible race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a lot, as we see a big trouble here for Dylan Jordan, along with a couple other drivers. I wasn't sure, I didn't catch who that was, but let's come back here and take a look.
That was Matt Town, who has got a problem as well. So Dylan Jordan sends it in. Matt Town gets it wrong, and oh, big contact between the two, and it's a 340 that also gets stuck in it. So Matt Town got some damage, and Dylan Jordan as well, unfortunately, getting clipped. And who went and clipped him there? But man, oh man,
Kiwi
what
Sim
a
Racing.
blow.
All 3 Kiwi Sim Racing, that was all 3 drivers that was involved in this incident.
That is going to be a nightmare discussion in the pits. Paul McKenzie needing a bit of repair work as well. And, well, that unfortunately is someone going to be needing a long chat to the drivers and saying, listen, it's a long season. We can't be checking each other's doors like that. But it was an honest mistake, a sideways moment that ended up in tears as it stands. Ewan Baker, 4.2 seconds behind Dan Stevens, who's holding on to 3rd place. Will this be the first time in all 3 heats that Ewan Baker will not be standing on the podium? For Thomas, Ben, and Dan, they're going to be hoping so.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But Baker, he is in an absolute tear, you know, trying to get to that back bumper of Dan Stevens. So don't count him out just yet, but we only have just about 2 laps to go, or 2.5 laps to go, as Thomas Hins is getting ready to take cross the line for one final time.
Thomas has been on a stellar run since the start of the race. A brilliant start, a little bit of side-by-side moments, and Lady Luck smiling on his side. We'll see either white flag. This is where you start to get that little bit of a shake on the right foot as you try to hold on to the throttle. You got to hold your breath, and this is what he's going to be doing for an entire lap. Heath Minnering, Gavin Cox, they're hoping to get into the top 10, but they've got to clear Craig Tilson. But what a run it has been for Heat 3, our final heat of the day for the Major Series International. And it is all or nothing for the drivers. Ben landing up in the dirt, losing a bit of time as he's trying everything he can. But for Thomas, this is his moment. This is his time to go and see the checkered flag with no one around. 9 seconds to Ben Daltrey. Dan Stevens holds on to 3rd place at the moment, but is losing time to Ewan Baker. Can the likes of Baker get onto the podium for the last heat of round 1? Or will it be done and dusted? We'll have to take 2 out of 3. But for Thomas, who gained a position, started on the front row, is going to be more than happy to be powering his way through. Checkered flag at the ready. Thomas Hinnis takes the victory. here at Winton for Heat 3. Ben Daltrey will finish up in second place, 8 positions up from the start. Daniel Stevens will take third, and for the first time in all 3 heats, but finishes across the line. Ewan Baker, a great recovery on his part. Hayden Kirk in 5th. Kevin Garcia will take 6th, along with Robert Northway in 7th. Robbie Bradbury, Stuart Elder, and going and fighting it out till the line is going to be Craig Tilson, as he's got Heath Mithering and Gavin Cox on his tail. Craig finishes in the top 10 in the final heat of the day. What a run. Paul McKenzie with a meatball flag did not want to yield. Comes across in 16th position. That must have been a handful. Gavin Barber, Robert Henry. This has been a race and a half, and I take my hat off. Mark Newton, who was out in lap 1, will see the checkered flag from green to checkered. Well done, sir, on not giving up.
Yeah, absolutely. What a good recovery. I mean, it's not the recovery that you want, but at the end of the day, these points is what really matters. And unfortunately for Dylan, Jordan, and Aiden Kale, you know, they're going to DNF this race, so they're going to finish back at that 21st and 22nd spot.
What a race. Well, when I picture TCRs around this beautiful circuit in Australia, Winton Motor Raceway, I expected side-by-side action, I expected drama, chaos, and some of the most intense driving. But I think the person who is absolutely throwing his hands in the air goes to Thomas for a stellar drive and will be more than happy on a Heat 3 victory. And what a run. Ben taking second, Daniel Stevens will hold on to 3rd place in the final heat. Mike, this has been a mental race of note, but the overall victory in all going and taking enough points in all 3 heats is Ewan Baker, who will be maximizing points for round 1 for the Major Series International. Your thoughts on this? I am completely shot with my nerves right now, because what a race we witnessed from Heat 1 to Heat 3. You couldn't go and say this race is simple.
No, this race was definitely not simple whatsoever. And, you know, for this around, you know, Thomas Hins absolutely came out fighting on top for race number 3. Ben Daughtry come home 2nd. Dan Stevens will come home 3rd here in heat number 3. Just absolute pure chaos throughout it all. You know, so, I mean, I don't even know, I'm just absolutely speechless. I don't know why I haven't looked at this track before. I don't know why I haven't driven it before. But now I really want to get behind the wheel of one of these things and just whip it around this racetrack.
Mike, you, me, TCR car, let's go. But that being said, let's bring in a couple of interviews to come and have a chat to us. And 3rd place in Heat 3, let's go and have a chat to Dan Stevens. Dan, welcome to the commentary box. And what a race from Heat 1 to Heat 3. How are you feeling after round 1?
There's some crazy stuff going on there, guys. I was actually quite lucky to survive all 3 races. Yeah, very knackered. Arms are sore, that's for sure.
Now, take us through what was going on. Heat 1, you were in a fight of note. Heat 2, you were stuck in the mid-pack. But Heat 3, it was just all across the line, 3 wide into turn 1. Take us through the moments that really stood out for you.
Well, Heat 1 was pretty much like, you know, just get as many positions as you possibly can. You know, you go up further, you start up further. So that was pretty much race 1. Race 2, I managed to find myself in P9 early on in the stages. Because I think a couple of the cars in front got taken out or got put together and spun out. So that gave me P9. And then it was pretty much holding on to that position the whole time. And I knew Cam was probably playing some games and backing us up and stuff like that. And I don't know what he was trying to do, or they were doing something and it was backing us up because the guys behind us were catching. And there was 5 cars going for P9, and there was bumper to bumper, there was door banging, it was crazy stuff. And a repeat on that last race. That last race was absolutely insane. I had my eyes forward, eyes to the side, eyes backwards. It was all going on.
What did you think about the track car combo, a TCR car at Winton Motor Raceway, a tight circuit, and you have got a car that is momentum based, but every time you stand on the throttle, it wants to straighten itself up?
That's the thing. When I first saw the combo, I thought, nah, it's not going to work. I don't like the track, but I like the car. Like, yeah, these cars do suit a more open flowing track, but pretty much, I'm still not a fan of the track. But the combo is actually pretty good for tight racing.
What's the game plan for the rest of the season? Looking forward with a variety of cars, a variety of circuits, a variety of track surfaces that you're going to be fighting with your teammates, and after a stellar race in round 1 that you've had.
Well, my main goal is always has been the legends, because I haven't been able to fight up front in the top 5 overall for a couple of years now. So I concentrate on the Legends Championship. I'm going to go for 6 in a row if I possibly can. But looking at what we've got in the team this year and the guys that have entered, we might try and go for an overall and also go for the teams. Why not?
If not, why not? And absolutely. Dan, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to in the virtual grandstands, and to your teammates that were brawling with you a little bit earlier?
Yeah, just a special thanks to MFR, Middle Finger Racing guys, a whole bunch of guys. We've got a new addition this year, which is Thomas Hinz. He's come along to race with us for this season under the MFR banner. Madaz Designs, Polaris Off-Road New Zealand, and what else have we got here? Aussie Signs and Designs. That's pretty much it.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. Dan, well done, and pass congratulations onto the team, and congratulations on scoring 3rd in Heat 3. What a race on your part. Mike, you are catching up as it looks like you got Thomas Hinnis going and joining you in the commentary box.
Yeah, we got Thomas up here. Thomas, Mike up in the booth. Got a copy.
Hey, Mike, how you going?
I'm doing pretty good, Thomas. Man, what a race all around for you. The first couple of heats were a bit rough, but man, you came out swinging in round or heat race number 3, I should say. Talk us through that start for heat or the ending of heat 2, and then that start of heat 3. How did all that play out? And just talk us through it all.
Yeah, I frankly, I did not feel very confident for this round. I don't know why, but I just wasn't getting my head around the TCR as much as I'd like to. It is the only time I've raced this thing in the last like 4 years has been for these MTCR races. So I thought my muscle memory would be enough to help me be roughly where I was hoping, but unfortunately, I don't think it was quite there. I think in the race my pace was a little bit better. My quality, I just could not do the 1 lap, which put me obviously in the back or in the pack for the first 2 heats. And around here, it's just nigh impossible to pass unless there's a mistake from someone ahead. So I just kind of had to sit there and just kind of eat it for the first 2 heats, unfortunately. But obviously, that did put me in the front row for the 3rd, which was very nice. Again, I hadn't done a standing start in these things since the last MTCR last year, when it was. So to be honest, I was trying to remember on each 3 start, which is why the starts did get better. The first one was terrible, the second one was all right, and then I finally figured out, thankfully, when it mattered on the 3rd heat. So yeah, just got the good start. Dan, being the teammate, I pretty much said, well, whoever leads after the first few corners, the other plays rear gunner, and obviously he got the jump, but then he made a bit of a meal of the first chicane, so I was able to get through, and I just sort of put the head down and just got on with it really, while everyone else got into a bit of biffo behind, it looked like. So yeah, no, it was good to get a win. I really didn't expect it to today. Just did not feel like I was as on pace as I wanted to be. Certainly not as close to Ewan and that at the front, but I'll take it. I'll take a win, and it'll be in good points in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about the championship. What kind of momentum does this bring for you? Like for next month, we're going out to Daytona for the Intimidator. Just what kind of momentum will this bring for you personally? You know, to the end of the season and possibly a good run for the championship.
I mean, yeah, it should help. Uh, I'm mostly a circuit racer, so my oval stuff isn't good, especially my plate racing. I don't plate race at all. It's just not something that I'm particularly interested in frankly. And I know that the 500, a lot of it is, there's a lot of luck involved too. So, yeah, I'm not really expecting anything, frankly. At 500, I'm just going to rock up and we'll see how we go. If I can snag a result, then fantastic. I've kind of got it as a drop round in my mind, to be honest, but we'll give it a go. Yeah, we'll see how the season goes. It's a very assuming a lot of these guys see out the season. You've got three past international champions in the season in Cam Dance, Robert Northway, and obviously last year's champion, Ewan Baker. So very competitive field. It's going to be hard. Ewan especially is just so fast, as he proved last year. He's fast in everything. So we'll see. And obviously Cam's quick as well, and a whole bunch of guys here that are very fast. So we'll see how we go. I'll do my best to try and fight for it, but yeah, we'll do my best and see what happens.
Awesome. And is there anybody that you would like to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
Yeah, big thanks to the MFR guys for having me on for the season. Sort of joint team drink shifters middle finger racing deal. They obviously I've run with Team Drink Shifters crew normally, but because I usually do these majors seasons on my own generally, Dan was like, "Well, if you want to join us, then we're happy to have you for the season." So yeah, joined them for this one. So should be good. It'll be good to actually have some support on track rather than it just being me like it normally is every other season. So yeah, so that should be good. So big thanks to them and huge thanks to them for the support, setup work, and just in general. It's good to have them there to help out and help each other, of course, in the team's championship as well. Big thanks as well to the Jinx Shifters guys, as always. They're a great group. Huge thanks to the Majors for putting on a great show. It was awesome fun once again. Good start the season, plenty of excitement as well. And big thanks to you guys as well for putting the broadcast on for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Is absolutely our pleasure and definitely really enjoyed ourselves this evening. Congratulations again on your Heat number 3 win. And we look forward to seeing what you can do for the remainder of the season.
Thanks so much, Mike. Thank you.
Well, Thomas having a great run there, but I'm catching up with our overall round one winner, our defending champion, Ewan Baker, going and taking an absolute run. Mr. Baker, you had the target on your back. You got a victory in Heat 1, in Heat 2, but Heat 3 was mental. How are you feeling after it?
Yeah, pretty satisfied. Yeah, that Heat 3 race was something else. I knew reverse grid races, especially around here, it was going to be pretty mad, but yeah, it did myself no favors, completely messing up my start. And then, yeah, I think it was two cars sideways in front of me that I ran into. And yeah, didn't have much of a front end left, so dulled my pace a bit. But yeah, getting back up to fourth was pretty awesome and surprising after that. And yeah, the 2 wins, fantastic way to start the season.
Coming into this race as a defending champion, what was running through your mind? I mean, the target is on your back, and you've got a fierce, fierce field chasing you down.
Honestly, coming into this year, I felt more relaxed than I was last year. I think last year I really wanted to win the championship and so prove I could do it. And the fact that I have now, it's kind of taken the pressure off a little to do that. Like, obviously, I'm going to give it my all to defend it, but I feel like, that's that target done. I can just go in, relaxed, really enjoy the race. And I think that approach has paid off so far.
And TCR's, the circuit combo, what was your take to it? I mean, this is not an easy circuit, and you've got a car that is really particular in its driving style, very stiff in terms of its running, and you've got to be so careful. What was your take to seeing the combo and now getting to experience it across 3 heats after all the madness that's gone on?
Honestly, I think I'm one of the few people that quite likes this track. It seems to be quite an unpopular pick for a lot of guys, but something about it I've always really enjoyed. And yeah, same with TCRs. Very different cars to drive, but I just click with it and quite enjoy it. So when I saw this on the calendar, I was pretty excited and thought this will be a solid one. But yeah, knowing the caliber of all the competitors this season, I knew it wasn't going to be easy, and especially hard to pass around this place. So yeah, excited, and I'm glad the excitement paid off in enjoyment as well.
Now that you've taken the momentum forward with a round one victory, what's your game plan for the rest of the season? You got 11 races to try and become a two-time champion. What's your plan heading into the Intimidator a little bit later this year?
Oh, Intimidator, I think, is just survive. I mean, ovals aren't my strength as much as the road courses, so I think going into there, it's just going to be try and bag as many points as I can and not do anything too crazy. Like I'm really realistic with my chances, and especially pack racing at Daytona, it is going to be a little bit of a lottery. So, fortunately, we've got quite a lot of KSR guys running this season, so we might be able to employ a little bit of teamwork and try and keep each other safe out there. But yeah, getting off on the right foot this round will help just to sort of ease in through the ovals and make the most of it, and then try and maximize the road courses when they crop up.
I've got to ask, Heat 1, you and Aiden Kale fighting it out. How was it being door to door, side by side? Because you two were fighting enough that 3 corners later, you were still sitting wing mirror to wing mirror.
That's fantastic. It's the sort of racing I absolutely love, and yeah, props to Aiden. He's mega fast, as he's proven in these things, and yeah, fantastic racer as well. Like we gave each other just exactly enough space down to the millimeter, and yeah, that's just fantastic touring car racing. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it's not there's a limited amount of people that you can really trust to send it that hard, especially around here. So it was good we both survived it, and you know, coming out with the lead there was pretty pivotal for the rest of the night, I think.
And before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations, anyone you want to give a shout out to out in the virtual grandstands, to the team, I'm sure that was frantic in your ears as they were fighting it out amongst each other and you trying to claw your way in the back in Heat 3. The floor is yours to just go and, well, speak your mind. Remember, just keep it PG though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, massive thank you as always to the team at Kiwi Sim Racing for all the hard work they put in. Fantastic bunch of guys to drive with. Huge shout out to the team sponsors Inspire Net, Speed Nation, New Zealand Sim Racing TV, and Scott Technology. And big props as well to Matthew Pluck and Robert Northway as well for all their work they put behind the scenes. They've herding us like cats trying to get everything organized. As you see, there's a lot of KSR guys interested in running this season, which is fantastic to see. And yeah, they're the brains behind the operation, and also do a lot of work on setups for us as well. So yeah, a lot of the success that we have as a team is very accredited to them as well. So yeah, big shout out, big thanks, and yeah, roll on the rest of the season.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. Our overall round winner, Ewan Baker from Kiwi Sim Racing, going and taking the charge to the front of the pack, maximizing the points. Mike, it has been an incredible, incredible race. Your last thoughts on such a crazy round one and looking towards the rest of the 2026 season?
Yeah, I mean, this this what we saw today is going to be how the international region is going to be all season long. Man, I am going to be buying some race belts for my seat because let me tell you what, there was quite a few times that I wanted to jump out of my seat. So I think I'm going to need to go buy me some straps for the rest of the season here for the international region because man, let me tell you what, the racing was fierce, it was competitive, it was clean, and oh, if that just lays it all up for next outing at Daytona. So I'm really excited and just again I'm glad I was able to experience this here with you and looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. And if you are interested to join in all the fun, head over to www.majorsseries.com and join us across our European, international, or Americas. We got 3 different regions for you to have a bit of fun. If you are looking forward to a little bit of a longer race and want to team up with your mates, we do have our Majors Endurance Championship as well, after a great run a little bit earlier on. But we take a look forward now to February 1st, 2026, as we move on to Daytona for our Intimidator, as it is going to be a bit of oval racing action. Big thank you to our sponsors, Majors Garage and Sim Racing Stewart, for all the hard work they do in the background, along with all our admin here at the Majors Series, going and frantically putting in the work, along with our amazing drivers, our amazing teams, and most importantly, and Mike, I think you'll agree with me on this one, our incredible virtual grandstand that we're standing on the feet, going and cheering from the sidelines, and is going to be powering us through this Major Series International Championship. But I got to give a hats off to Mike Taylor, who not only was the man on the mic, but the man behind the cameras, for the incredible work. Thank you so much, Mike. And from both of us, Mike Taylor and Stephen Koenig, we'd like to say thank you very much, folks. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, and let us know what was your favorite part of the Majors Series International. And we will see you a little bit later on from Majors Series America. And like always, a good morning, a good afternoon, good evening, and a good night, everybody.